Hey guys, Kirk here. Quick update for you on the state of virtual reality as it applies to sim racing in mid-January 2016. I got one. I managed to pre-order one of the very first from the first batch. So I was, on the pre-order page refreshing and managed to fire off an order in about 4 minutes. So I'll be, as soon as that arrives, I'll do sort of a sim racing interpretation of review. I'm sure there'll be a million unboxing videos, but I'm just going to dive right into the sims and tell you what works and what doesn't. So keep an eye out for that. But I wanted to talk, there's a lot of opinions here, a lot of, controversy, field of view versus triple screen setups and all that. I want to talk about the DK2 versus the CV1. Some of the hardware changes that are coming and the implications for your setup. Talk about the changes that just were announced about the HTC Vive with the new front-facing camera, and also some of the sims and what the current state of support for the Rift and what it might look like come April 1st. Who's going to support it out of the gate? So. And maybe a little, if time permitting here, I'm trying to condense this all down, a little bit of talk about, the new ultra wide monitors and at the very end, but got to talk fast. So basically the first thing is this is kind of a big moment in the history of sim racing. I've been doing this since, I don't know, 20 years or something like that, since I was a kid. So I've been in the community a long time, and I get the sense that this is going to be a big deal. I think, there's this a lot of talk. I think Palmer Luckey talked about the eternal September. And really what that means is, that's back when America Online granted access to Usenet, there's this giant flood of people that just, from the perspective of the people already in the community, kind of ruined it. But, I see this kind of differently. I do think, if it's true that there are 500,000 of these that have already been pre-ordered, and some fraction of them are going to be into the cars, we're going to see just an absolute crush of people coming into this over the next year. And, it'll be interesting to see which developers kind of are prepared. We could see some lesser known sims taking on a sort of the role as ombudsman to all these new people. So it's going to be, I think, a big change. I think it's a big opportunity, and I hope people are welcoming to all the new drivers that are going to be joining us here. Regarding the hardware itself, the consumer version 1 is better in pretty much every way compared to the dev kit 2. It's lighter, it's more comfortable, it's higher resolution by about 25%. It's got higher frame rates. From 75 it went up to 90. The FOV is a bit wider if you believe the early reviews. So all around it's going to be a better package, better panels, designed specifically for VR. So it's going to be a big change. I haven't tried the prototypes of the CV1 yet, but I've watched a lot of the reviews. And it's going to require about 50% more power to run at the minimum spec. So they've kind of recommended a GTX 970, as most people know. Apparently that's one of the most popular cards right now, so that's good news. But it's a monster. So make sure you've got a little budget after you order this thing to beef up your hardware if you need to. Regarding the Vive, there's a lot of talk that, there's a lot of frustration, or maybe it's a vocal minority, I don't know, about the price coming in at $599 US and kind of being higher. So a lot of people are saying, well, I'm just going to buy a Vive and screw Facebook. All I would say to that is, I think the Vive is going to come in probably around $899, $999 US. So it's not going to be cheap. You're going to get the hand controllers, which you're going to pay for. For me, I mean, that's kind of cool. in the sense that you can do some apps that you couldn't do in the Rift, at least in the short run. But I don't, from a sim racer's perspective, I get that you're angry about the price, but just be aware you're going to spend more on the Vive, and it might not be as good an experience as the Rift. I think the Rift, a lot of the talk has been around how polished it is compared to the Vive. I think we're going to get better software support out of the gate for the Rift compared to the Vive. So just keep all that in mind. You can wait and see, but by the time these launch, so we're going to get these, I'll review this in early April, let's say. And if it's as good as everybody thinks, you're going to see another wave of pre-orders coming in the April timeframe, and that's going to push the date back even further. It's already July, so by June you could be looking at holiday 2016 as the first time you can get your hands on one of these, unless you have a rich uncle and you're willing to go on eBay. So it's probably, if you want one this year, I would suggest make a decision quickly. The Vive does have a kind of new, what they call a breakthrough, which is a camera on the front. It's just one camera, but it's pretty wide field of view, and it allows you to, see what's happening in the real world, kind of overlaid onto what you see in your application. So that's kind of cool, and a lot of people are thinking, well, that means I can see my steering wheel, I can see, my keyboard, I can see my button boxes, but I would kind of reserve judgment to see if that's really something that works well while you're driving, because the demos I've seen are people walking around and you get this kind of faint outline of a human body, and it looks pretty cool, but there's only one camera, so it's not going to be 3D, so who knows how the heck that overlay is going to work. And it's just early days, so just beware. If you're going to get a Vive, you're going to pay more, almost assuredly, and you're also going to end up with a bit more time until the developers implement something usable in sim that would allow you to see your wheel or whatever. So those are things to keep in mind. As far as the sims go, and looks like we're running out of time here, you've got, my guess, out of the gate, I think we might see Live for Speed cars and maybe Dirt Rally with support on day one. Also, they just announced an American Truck Simulator, so it's sort of like the Euro Truck Simulator. So they seem pretty committed to having support. And apparently there's some hack where people are able to get DirectX 9 titles working. So we'll see with the newer versions of the Rift SDK. So my hope is that we'll get some support out of the gate. I would be shocked if we didn't, but it's possible. And then also on top of that, you've got Assetto Corsa and iRacing, which, iRacing is going to be a close call depending on whether or not they get their DX11 updates. Who knows? They could do a patch for DX9, but it seems kind of crazy they'd spend time on it when they've got DirectX 11 coming soon. Why didn't they do DX12? I don't know. Maybe some backwards compatibility. Who knows? But hopefully Assetto Corsa gets it together, because I really like being able to just dive in and do some AI racing, and it's just it looks great compared to the current version of iRacing, so it's kind of more immersive. Then you've got R Factor 2 and what's now being called Automobilisto, which is the Game Stock Car Extreme rebrand. I don't know. I don't get the sense that either of those are going to have Rift support anytime soon. Correct me, devs, if I'm wrong. But that seems to be the case right now. So with the seconds ticking away here, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you like this and you want me to do a follow-up, I can talk about this stuff forever. I cut out a lot of what I wanted to talk about to meet the one lap requirement here. But like this, if you guys, enough of you like this, I'll do another one. Give some more detailed thoughts and talk about some of the hardware implications of what you might want to do in the coming weeks and months to prepare for virtual reality. Thanks for your time, and have a good one.